Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Strong Style Impact Media's weekly dive off the top rope. Yep, one of those into the world of professional wrestling and combat sport. Of course, that means MMA. I'm your host, Jeremy, the Impact York. I have been a little under the weather, so we're trying to do everything we can to get all these shows in, and I'm going to try my best not to cost through this entire episode. If I do, I apologize. Stay tuned. Obviously, we're going to talk some AEW, big things happening last week. We won't talk about this week. We'll talk about that next week. Big things happening in WWE. Some cool stuff happening in TNA, but TNA is getting ready for Bound for Glory, and Halloween Havoc is actually this weekend as well, and we will get into those shortly. But first, if you want to follow the show at Impact_Media_ on YouTube, you can follow me, the Impact99, on practically any social media. I've had some great videos, had some fantastic stuff going on this weekend. Hopefully, you guys caught it. I'm going to try to do some videos and post them up from the Deep South show that is this Saturday as well. Let's go ahead and plug that now so I don't forget it. Deep South Wrestling is going to be at New Realm Brewery. This is their home base, really, for their Halloween show. Please come in costume. I'm going to be in costume. It's my spin on a very, very good person, or a very, very good wrestler and even better person. And I think you guys might enjoy that. But come check it out. Skrilla the Great is going to take on, wait for it, Lexus King from NXT. Yep, Brian Pillman Jr., Lexus King. Can't wait. That's on me. We'll try my best to do some short little video with him. Don't know. Maybe my good buddy Eric can help me out with that. But in case he can't, hey, I don't want to step on any WWE toes, any future co-worker shows or toes. It's what it is. But I'm hoping at least get a chance to speak with Mr. King, and we'll see what happens. But that's going to be 6 p.m. at New Realm. Please come by and say hey. Come by and see some great wrestling. There was probably 700 or 800 people that pack out over there. The weather's going to be phenomenal. So come check that out. Or say big plug to they've got two other shows earlier that day. They are at a Halloween festival, or the barbecue festival in Decatur. I think Eric's gonna smack me for not remembering the other thing. It's a barbecue festival and it's right up the street. So they're gonna have matches all day, and then they're gonna come set up and do that show at night, and it's going to be fantastic. Plus, like I said, Lex King versus Skrilla the Great, the Prince of NXT versus King Skrilla. I don't know how you can get any better than that. Just saw a great announcement from a friend of mine that popped across my phone. So congratulations, Killer Kill. I will see you tomorrow. He will be at Deep South with me. Come by and congratulate him. I'm super stoked for what he just said. Super stoked. We need to have him on. He watches wrestling as much as I do. He does another podcast as well. But I've talked a lot. So let's instead start with the UFC. Start with the UFC. UFC 308 is this weekend. Saturday, I believe, in Abu Dhabi. Right? Yep. In the Etihad Arena in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. Believe ESPN Plus, the undercard starts at 10 a.m., 2 p.m. for the main card, which is what we're going to talk about right now. We only talk about main event here because if not, this would be a 17-hour podcast. Just what. Main event for the featherweight title. The champion, Ilya Topuria, is a minus 275 favorite against Max Holloway, who's a plus 225. To be honest, that's some decent money. I know Elliott Fury is 15-0 and undefeated, but that's Maximilian Holloway there. That's ooh, that's when you'll hear betting on this show is during the UFC and PFL stuff. PFL coming up later next month, I believe. We'll talk more about that. But I mean, I'm going to Puria, which minus 275 is not bad money either. I'm going to Puria. This thing probably goes to distance because Holloway's not going to quit. But if it goes to distance, man, Holloway might have as good a shot as Tapuria. I'm going to go Tapuria, and I think you guys should too. I think you're just all around the better fighter right now. You know, if we went, you know, Max in his super prime, he's in his prime now, but in his super prime and earlier right now, ooh, that's almost too close to call. But I'm going to go Ilya Tapuria to retain and go 16 and 0. In the co-main event, the middleweight division, we are going to get Robert Whitaker at a plus 190 versus Hamzat Chimaev, a minus 235. If what I heard is true, Chimaev was the last person at the weigh-ins, the last to come in and weigh in officially. He always has issues for weighing in, which is weird. But for that reason alone, excuse me, there's the first one. Going to keep the counter on that one. There's the first one. For that reason, give me Robert Whitaker. He might be past his super prime, but I think he's still in his prime. And he's the gatekeeper because every time somebody goes, yeah, I'm going to beat Whitaker, and then I'm going to be in the top 5. Or I'm going to beat Whitaker, and then I'm getting a title shot. Usually Whitaker wins. And I think Chimaev and his weight cut issues are going to finally catch up to him. So give me the Widowmaker Whitaker. Magomed Ankalaev, a minus 390, the big favorite. Against Alexander Rakic at a plus 290 in the light heavyweight division. Think about this one a second. Yeah, I don't have a good enough argument for Rakic to beat Ankalaev. I think Ankalaev is still a little ticked off that he's 19-1-1. And I think Alexander Rakic is going to be the next victim on the Ankalaev victory tour. I don't have much more to say than that. I think Ankalaev is going to be too much for Rakic. Maybe not. While we watch. Lerone Murphy at a minus 270 is going to face Dan Ige at plus 220 in the featherweight division. I like Lerone Murphy. I like Lerone Murphy a lot. But give me Dan Ige at plus 220. I think that's some good a good opportunity. Hey, and it's your money. So don't take everything I said for gold and for gospel because it is absolutely not. Only thing biblical about me is that I read it and that I am a God-fearing Christian. That's as biblical as I am. So don't take it for gospel. I don't know. I just think Dan Ige is another one like Robert Whitaker, is that every time somebody counts them out, they find a way. I think Dan Ige is going to win this. It's all the way in Abu Dhabi. I think Lerone Murphy had almost as far to go. And he is 14-0-1, but give me Dan Ige. Dan Ige decision. And finally, we're going to get Shara Magomedov at minus 175. He is 14-0-0 against Arman Petrosian, who is 9-3-0. And a plus 145. That's a little, I don't know a lot about Shara Magomedov. But it seems like he's a pretty, it's like a 60-40 split. Based off the minus 175 to plus 145. Okay. You know, basically it's going to take $17.50 of your money to get 10 back. It's 3. Where if you put down 10 bucks for Arman Petrosian, you would win $14.50 back. It's pretty even money. Um, Give me Magomedov. Magomedov. Next. I don't know. Just gonna go with that. Other fights to watch. Not gonna really weigh in on them, but Jeff Neal versus Rafael Dos Anjos. Gonna be a solid fight. Farid Basharat versus Victor Hugo. Gonna be pretty good. Carlos Leal versus Renat Bakhregdanov. Gonna be a pretty good fight. That's gonna lead off the card. So, solid overall card. Um, so let's get into wrestling. So, let's start with AEW. I'm going to kind of mix in a bunch of stuff. Majority of what I'm going to talk about right now are storylines that happen on Dynamite. I don't know if you guys have figured out that they don't really space out their storylines so much, which is fine. Dynamite is their main show, and then they put Collision and Rampage are their cleanup shows. The ones if they couldn't finish the story out or couldn't continue on or need to clean up something from the week, those shows end up doing that. That is the equivalent of WWE never doesn't really do that anymore. They used to. But and I have no problem with AEW doing that. Put out majority of your stuff and then what circles around, tie it up to loose end to back to your Wednesday show. I think if their main show was on Monday, they would balance it out the way Raw and SmackDown is, even though SmackDown is recorded on a Tuesday usually. But all right, so the main thing going on in AEW right now is another update. Apologize, making sure. Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. So the main thing going on in AEW right now is Moxley, who won the title. Danielson is done as a full-time wrestler. That tells you he's going to do some one-off to still get some of his 3 matches in. I don't have a problem with that. I don't think you guys do either. Currently, they're attacking smaller people, which I don't know. It's weird. I don't know if they're doing it to build up the elite or staying away from them, which kind of the MO for the elite. Just stay out of stuff and let somebody else do it. Just as far as on screen. I'm trying, guys. But they're attacking Top Flight and Orange Cassidy and the Acclaimed a little bit. Mostly Top Flight and Orange Cassidy. Let's see what Mox is doing. So Moxley's saying he wants to go back to wrestling that's wrestling. Okay. And not as much of the colorful stuff. Like what Orange does, the flair he has. The flying spot fest that is Top Flight and the Young Bucks. Let's throw them in. Now it's done at such a high level that it's fantastic. There's nothing wrong with what they're doing. There's so many different ways you can represent wrestling. But he's kind of, and the Acclaimed, the loud outspokenness of them. I don't even mean for the human rights side of things, just in general. Moxley wants to go back to almost Japan strong style, where you talk little, you act a lot. Okay. But is Moxley calling the shots? I mean, he is right now. There's a rumor that Shane O'Mac could be the one to spearhead that group. It's possible. It would help AEW, whose ratings are down a little. They're not bad. They're not tanking. Their attendance is down a little bit, but they're also going head to head with college and pro sports right now, and that gets anybody. So I'm not sure where they're going with that. I like his group. I think there are some other people they could add to that group, but I, I don't know. We'll see what they do with it. I think you're going to see them expand soon, but they already got some muscle. I haven't seen Shafir go after any other female. Not really. I think she might have got Statlander once, but I would like to see Marina Shafir go after some other females in the division. Speaking of, one of the strongest things that AEW has going is their women's division, and I'm going to leave people out. In fact, I just remember one now. So I'm going to start with her. Their women's division. People that can work and people that can wrestle. And almost all of these could be considered top title contenders. In fact, Statlander, Willow, Monet. Not a big fan of Monet, but she's good. Jamie Hayter, Paige. Paige still open invite to come on this show. Would love to have you on, whether you talk to me and Clay or just me or whoever. Paige, love to have a chat. Anybody really. I give Harley Cameron. She can work. Nyla, Tony Storm, Queen Aminata, Mariah, of course, is the champ. Anna Jay, there's 11. Britt Baker, there's 12. I mean, women's division, that. And honestly, Camille, there's 13. She can work. You guys just aren't familiar with her yet. And I'm leaving tons out. But one of the biggest things going right now is their women's division. It is absolutely loaded. It might be the best women's division in wrestling right now as far as depth and talent. NXT's real close. Raw and SmackDown, hard to argue those two. It's just, can AEW put the right mix together? Can they? Can they put the right stuff together? That's what we're trying to figure out. Then you get Adam Cole, who just came back, had a great promo against MJF. By the way, MJF can't be there right now. He's filming Happy Gilmore 2. He's filming Happy Gilmore 2. That's why he's doing all the videos and sending in things and being on camera as opposed to being in the arena. He didn't purposely no show. None of that. He's legit filming that movie. In fact, I guess he's the heel. I'm not sure what he is in that movie. I haven't looked it up to find out. But you get Adam Cole and MJF, and then MJF and Daniel Garcia. That's why they had to pull Garcia into the Moxley stuff. Because Garcia needs MJF to continue their feud, and MJF's not there. Now, Adam Cole can come out and bad talk him, and MJF can do videos and bad talk him back. But action is what needs to happen between MJF and Daniel Garcia, so you don't get to see it. But that's going to be a good three-headed monster. We're going to get some triple threats and other stuff. I think at some point Adam Cole's going to screw Daniel Garcia because he's Adam Cole, baby. But I don't think he's going to be the heel. I think Adam Cole as a face is a great thing right now with MJF as the heel. FTR getting solid wins, still good, but they're kind of on the way out, it seems like. They're still going to be in the company, but they're going to more or less be putting people over. And who they're currently building up are the Outrunners, who are just fun. They're such a throwback to the 80s. They're doing all the stuff and it's so great. It's so great what they're doing. I hope the Outrunners get at least a run through the end of the year. Maybe a tag title run. They're just, was it Turbo Floyd and Truth Magnum? I think it does right. I think it. Producer Sunshine giving me 2 thumbs up. All right. Which is a feat unto itself. They're fun. They respond. You can have buy. They have merch. That was smart of AEW. These guys are building up. They're the next big thing. The next big thing in AEW. Build them up. Have shirts. I thought about buying one myself, but but um, I talked about the Elite already. And there's only a couple other things. Jay White versus Christian, the main event, absolutely amazing. Jay White deserves the title run. Um, Christian could have one, or Jay White could legit win it. Christian come and steal it from him with the contract, and let those two feud because that would be really really good, really good. um, MVP and Shelton Benjamin, whether they add Lashley or not, I feel like they're going to, but we don't know. But Shelton Benjamin versus Leo Rush the other night was 5-star match. Those two fed off each other so well. Leo Rush was really, really good like that. But Shelton Benjamin, at like 46 years old, can still throw down with the best. Which is going to make what he does, if Lashley comes in, what him and Lashley do with MVP is going to be so, so great. Let's go to WWE, and then we will talk about Bound for Glory and Halloween Havoc. Things I like about WWE right now. Um, Jey Uso and Braun Breaker. Yeah. Not going to spoil it for anybody that didn't see it this week, but Jey taking the title from Braun last week, having a good run. Braun trying to disrupt other things, and Jey stepping in and going, no, sir. That's a great rivalry. What I don't want is for them to give the belt back to Braun Breaker because they're going to pull Jey Uso into the bloodline stuff. Let Jey keep doing his thing. That bugs me. It bugs me a lot. But Jey Uso getting a great singles run. He's been fantastic, getting a title. Braun Breaker is one of their next big stars. Let's be honest. And I'm not biased because I cover Kennesaw and I'm a big fan of his entire family. Braun Breaker is one of their next big stars. If you tell me Braun Breaker is heavyweight champ somewhere in the next calendar year, I'd bet on it. I'd put the chips on the table. The Tiffany Stratton, Rhea Ripley, that's a interesting dynamic because they're both after the same thing. And then on the other side, getting Liv and Raquel Rodriguez. It seems to me Rhea is probably going to take out Liv in some capacity, and then Stratton's going to cash in and take that. Maybe it's at Crown Jewel. Maybe it's after Crown Jewel. Crown Jewel's coming up 2 weeks. We'll see. Because I really don't want them to mess with that main event. Liv versus Nia Jax. Because I think Nia's going to win that and she's going to deserve it. And maybe that's what happens. She takes that Liv and a dominating win. Rodriguez tries to get involved, takes her out, and then here comes her good buddy Tiffany Stratton. Cashing in that briefcase. I think it's going to happen. It's going to happen a lot. I'll be honest. Cody versus Gunther is going to be a good, solid match. Maybe it's the right match to have at Crown Jewel. I don't know. I'm not that crazy about the match. Gunther is champ for a little longer. Fine. Time for Cody to lose the belt. Maybe it starts with losing to Gunther. I don't know who takes it from Cody because they don't have a briefcase or nothing that they can use that on. There's not really a contender over there at the moment. So, we'll see what they do. And it's not against Cody Rhodes. Big Cody Rhodes fan. Just, I don't know. It's like they painted themselves into a corner.
I want to see what they end up doing. Um, Jay and Solo, they are brothers. Solo is little brother. I explained that to me the other day. We'll see. I said I feel like Jay's gonna get pulled back into the bloodline stuff. And I mean, if they're gonna do it temporarily, fine. And then he gets take the belt back from Braun, and Braun gets elevated. That kind of makes sense. um, Last Legend being on SmackDown and beating Piper Niven. Last Legend is local to here in Atlanta. Like she really is. She, I believe, was a volleyball and or track star at I think it was in Cobb County, maybe Alexander or here I look that up. Or here I look that up. But big win, and that's her on SmackDown. She is almost outgrowing her welcome on NXT. She's about maxed out because they're not going to give her a title run because of who they have down there. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I think Lash proves that when the lights are the brightest on SmackDown, that she can more than hang. So I think she did a good job. And then the tag tournament to see who's going to face the Bloodline for the tag titles. The debut of the Motor City Machine Guns. I almost forgot they had signed. And DIY, Champa and Gargano. I don't know that either one of them can take out the Bloodline. Maybe Motor City does because they're new, but given their style and the way the Gorillas of Destiny, which is what they were called in New Japan, Tama Tonga and Tongaloa, kind of what they do. I don't know. Just feels like they're not really going anywhere with this. All right. NXT. Want to hit a little bit of NXT, and then we're gonna no, better yet. We'll do Bound for Glory, TNA. We'll preview that. I'll talk a little NXT, and then we will talk Halloween Havoc and end the show that way. So I'm Detroit, Michigan this Saturday. TNA is going to do Bound for Glory, and there's the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, which is going to be on the pre-show because basically you get the Money in the Bank, and they're going to do a 20-person intergender Call Your Shot Gauntlet. It's the Money in the Bank. That's all it is. No idea who could win. 20 people, no idea. And of course, like I said, it's gonna be on the pre-show. And actually, they could cash in on later that night if they wanted to. So we'll see what happens. Um, we're gonna see Ash by Elegant and Heather by Elegant against Zaya Brookside and Brinley Reese. Brinley Reese is solid talent. Zaya Brookside definitely, really, really solid in the ring. And actually, Ash is too. Heather's good. That's also on the pre-show. Probably where it should be. It's a good match, but there's just not a lot of story to it. You know, not a lot of story. Um, for the TNA World Championship with Frankie Kazarian as the special guest referee because he's a decent one of those. Nick Nemeth is going to face Joe Hendry. Is this where they pass the torch to Hendry, who has been red hot the last year or so? Maybe. Nemeth would know about passing at the right time. So if even he campaigned for Hendry, then could be time. I don't particularly think so, but if Joe Hendry won, I would not be upset at all. I'd be pretty excited. The Joe Hendry era should start sooner rather than later. I'm not excited about this match at all. Monsters Ball, Matt Cardona versus PCO for the Digital Media Championship. And the International Heavyweight Wrestling Championship. PCO retaining. Mike Santana versus Moose. I'm excited about this. This is going to be a boost for Mike Santana to show that he can be a main eventer. He absolutely can. He can hang with any of these guys they have. He can hang with a lot of guys in other places. I don't know if they let Moose loose here or not, but Mike Santana is going to have a great performance, and everybody's going to be walking away from this one more excited about Mike Santana versus Moose than they were some of the other matches. Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers, the System, are going to defend their tag titles against the Hardys and against ABC. I hope ABC wins. The Hardys are a novelty. They're a fun novelty. Good for them. Throwback to my high school times. It's time for Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards to drop those belts. So give them back to Ace and Bay and let them do some fun stuff with it. And the System and the Hardys can continue to fight. Jordan Grace defends her TNA Knockouts World Championship against Masha Slamovich. If somebody's going to knock off Jordan Grace, might be Masha. I love when Masha came out and said, "You're the one that's been holding me back, Jordan." Yeah, you may campaign on my behalf in a lot of ways, but you know, I speak perfect English, and she's saying this in perfect English. She didn't say it with any sort of accent or nothing. Like she goes, a lot of people think I just speak broken English and Russian. Speak perfect English, just as plain as anybody. And I like that. Like Jordan was holding her back. I doubt she was, but I'm going to say Masha Slamovich, your new TNA Knockout champion, and I think that's going to be a great thing because then Jordan can kind of take a step back. I think she's been running hard for a while. Probably won't take some time. Another thing I love about the Knockouts division, Spitfire, Jody Threat and Danny Luna. Big Danny Luna fan. He's going to face Rosemary and Wendy Chu for the TNA Knockout World Tag Team Championship. I want Spitfire to retain, but having Rosemary and Wendy Chu as your tag champions would be interesting because you can defend them on both shows, even in the same week, because TNA does 2 or 3 weeks worth of tapings at a time, sometimes a month. So, as long as you played it right, you could have Rosemary and Wendy go back and forth, and that would be pretty interesting. I would hate it for Danny and Jody, but that's a dynamic not other places can do. Very rarely, outside of John Moxley and a couple others, do you see belts defended away from the home company. Mike Bailey is going to defend the X Division Championship against a guy I just saw a couple weeks ago. Met the guy. I need to post those pictures. He was against. In fact, I have it somewhere. Where is? We're going to try to pull that up. Against El Hijo de Vikingo. Man, that dude's great. And he's so cool. He's so cool. We talked to him before the whole show started. Really cool guy. Mike Bailey's probably going to retain, but it's kind of fun if Vikingo won that. It's one of the few belts Vikingo hasn't won. He normally wins about anywhere he goes. He's that good. Just for the sake of it, I'll say Vikingo. And then Josh Alexander versus Steve Macklin. Trying to get this pulled up. I hope Josh Alexander is putting Steve Macklin over because Macklin should be a champion in TNA. I know you can only have so many champions, but let me find this picture for you real quick. I hope Steve Macklin wins. I'll say it that way. I hope Steve Macklin wins. All right, here we go. You see it? Oh, lost me. There he is. Me and Vikingo. We had a good time. Great dude. Great dude. But there's my pick. Oh, here we go. People that are confirmed Call Your Shot Gauntlet participants. Frankie Kazarian. He might win.
He's number 1. AJ Francis is number 20. Jason Hotch, Laredo Kid. Met Laredo Kid. He's good friends with the Kingo. Jake something. I mean, what else are you going to do? Hadn't been on the card in a while. Here's my wild card. Sami Callihan. Sami Callihan should be in that match. I mean, should win that match. I like it. I like it a lot. So let's talk about NXT. Only NXT. As we have the card pulled up, there we go. NXT. All right. Last week, we had to see Stephanie Vacker versus Ren Sinclair. Ren Sinclair, by the way, can work. She worked her tail off. And she gave it to Stephanie Vacker. She definitely did. Stephanie Vacker is all world. So Ren Sinclair really, really making some moves. Really enjoyed that match. Brooks Jensen with Shawn Spears becomes a nightmare for people in a good way. I know everybody's like, nightmare. How are you a nightmare in a good way? No. You want that loose cannon wild card. And Shawn Spears is going to show Brooks Jensen how to be next level. And I think he's doing a good job of it right now. Speaking of next level, how about Lexus King? You're going to see him this Saturday. New Realm Brewery, remember, 6 p.m. Come on by. He is on another level. And I say that the next guy I was going to talk about, Ethan Page, who won a triple threat against Javon, Evans, and Wesley to be the number 1 contender. If Trick Williams wins against Ethan Page at Halloween Havoc, I think Lexus King should be the next guy to challenge Trick. I think he could beat Trick. I'm going to tell him that in person. I say it out loud. I'm not saying it because he is who he is. I'm saying that because he is Lexus King. Lexus King is that next guy. Like I said, Halloween Havoc is this Sunday, which for once I think I'm open this Sunday. I think I might be able to watch this in person. Or not in person, but I'll be able to watch this live, which would be fantastic. Let me start at the bottom because they're doing the same model that WWE does with the bigger pay-per-views. You get 5 solid matches, but these are the most jammed up ones you can get. Kalani Jordan is going to defend her Women's North American Championship against either Fallon Henley, Stacey Jane, or Jasmine Nick. What would be the best match? I'll be honest right now, Jasmine Nick. And I like JC Jane. I'm a big Fallon Henley fan. I think she's like a modern day spin on Mickie James, which a lot worse things you could be. Kalani Jordan versus Jasmine Nick is a fantastic matchup. And that is a spin the wheel, make the deal, spinner's choice TBD match. So they hadn't figured it out. They'll figure it out. Andre Chase is going to face Ridge Holland in an ambulance match. Ridge Holland. And I actually think Kalani Jordan is going to retain. The other one, Ridge Holland. Build him into the monster you're trying to be. And taking out Andre Chase for a minute doesn't really hurt Andre Chase. And it really helps Ridge Holland. Ridge Holland all the way. Roxanne Perez and new friend, Cora Jade, is going to take on Julia and Stephanie Vacker. Wow, that's loaded. Julia and Stephanie Vacker are more than likely going to win this somehow. But these 4 are probably going to battle over the title for the next 6 months, which is why Kalani and her belt is probably going to end up being the more important one because it's going to be defended a lot more. But like I said, all of them are loaded. The AEW women's division is 13, 14 deep. I would say NXT's
probably second or third on that list on deep in talent. Even people like Remington, people that come out of nowhere. Sol Ruka, the ones that you don't necessarily think all the time. But I mean, Wendy Chu, he's wrestling other places. Julie and Stephanie win that one. Tony D'Angelo is going to defend the North American Championship in a spin the wheel, make the deal, tables, ladders, and scares match. What in Vince Russo was that? I think we know what it actually is, but you can't just call it a TLC match. We got to call it a TLS match. Okay. But anyway, he's going to defend against Oba Femi. And they built Oba Femi so high and so big that naturally it makes sense. For him to be able to beat Oba, he's going to need some tables, some ladders, scares, all kinds of stuff. Make it face the camera. And then finally, Trick Williams defends his NXT championship against Ethan Page in a Devil's Playground match, aka no holds barred. Anything not nailed down, and most things that are going to be weapons. I don't particularly like these style matches so much because they do them so much nowadays, but Trick and Ethan need to do this. And like I said, if Ethan takes the title back, then great. I think that would be a wonderful thing. I feel like Trick Williams is going to retain his belt. Lexus King is going to at least appear in the entranceway. And Ethan Page is going to get called up to either Raw or SmackDown. What would make more sense? Raw. Because him and Adam Pearce can really go at it. Whereas this is in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Lexus King could easily make it from Georgia on a Saturday night to Hershey, Pennsylvania by Sunday afternoon. Yeah. I could see that happening. But that is pretty much everything we got. Hopefully it wasn't broken up and sorry for coughing all the way through this or working on it. But this has been another great edition of Strong Style. Come out Deep South, come see us Saturday. New Realm Brewery, 6 p.m. Don't get there at 6 and expect to have a seat. We're going to get there early. We always do. And Deep South always brings it. And as this says, show is free for all. That means it costs you $0 and 0 cents to see this show. Just walk up, grab a seat. Walk up, grab a piece of pavement. One of the best indie shows out by far. If you like NXT, if you like reality of wrestling out there in Houston, NXT's up your, not NXT, Deep South Wrestling is up your alley. So, is what it is, and we've reached the end of the show. Thanks for tuning in to another great edition of Strong Style. I am Jeremy the Impact York. Go watch wrestling. Go watch fighting. Deuces, gooses.